Let's do it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. So there. One, two, three. All right. Now we are live. Okay, folks. Good afternoon, or late afternoon, I should say. It's Arknolia and the Doctor live on here in Texas here, and this is episode 53, I guess, if I'm
Yes, it
correct,
is.
right? Ah, it's nice. And of course, a good discussion on the 70's slash near towards the 80's genre is still continuing, I guess,
Yeah, we're
right?
trying to stay with similar bands. When we get in the 80s, we'll get into the whatever they call it alternative,
The
new
new,
wave,
well,
whatever.
actually, the new wave stuff there, or the post, or the stuff during the kind of like in the later 80's and 90's was more considered postmodern, I guess it was called.
Yeah,
And I hear me in the background there.
not anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so okay, now Art sent me a couple of clips there. One of them was by the Sanford Townsend Band, and I was commenting on that song, "Love from a Distant Fire." It was called
Smoke from a distant fire.
"Smoke from the Distant Fire." I keep getting the titles mixed up there, but I was telling him moments ago before he went live that I used to hear that song play a lot, and during when I was working night shift at the Kroger in Richmond, Michigan, around the early 2000s. And I always presumed it was some sort of a Van Morrison type singer based out of New York City there, something like that. So, because of the vibe and the style of the song, the horn sections, the arrangement of the song, the topic of the lyrics. And turns out it was this group called the Sanford Townsend Band. And I've heard the name a couple times in the past, but I never really heard any of their music. Turns out I was hearing that one of their earlier songs and didn't even know about it at that time. Of course, at that time, I couldn't go back into the office to find out if it was Sirius or XM, but it was probably something neither one of those because it was probably on some rotation device because saw stuff like "Wish You Were Here" or other stuff there like Blondie's "Call Me" or "Heart of Glass" would be constantly played in rotation, and I would get
Yeah.
sick of that. There were very few that I would actually enjoy listening to. So
Yeah, and another song they had was something called Crying Like a Child, which is actually a pretty decent song, too.
it is, yes, definitely there. So and where you kind of wonder where are these acts now? Like I know Donnie Iris is kind of like still doing some shows there. I guess if I'm taken there. But what happened to a Sanford Townsend band? Whatever happened to Point Blank? Whatever happened to this act, this group here? It's like did they just fizzle out, or did they just break up, or did they just decide to retire, or what?
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
I know it. And the thing is, it's just really a lot of these bands could have stayed on and could have really broke big if they kept pushing forward, but
Oh, yeah.
something may have happened where they decided, let's can it, let's and that maybe too much tension, maybe tension between us bandmates or us or the record companies or with the management and such there, and who knows.
True, true.
But they have left on, but they all they have to back to let me rephrase that. But they do have left. They have left behind a legacy of work. Whether it's two or three albums there, but it's
Yeah, and in some cases, we really don't want to forget them because it's worth remembering them.
yeah. But yet, you know how the people are today. It is like on to the next trend, on to the next group out there. You know, that's how basically it was with all these '80s rock metal bands out there. They would like push way to the side in favor of these alternative bands that would later merge in the '90s. There,
Yeah, and how long did most of them last?
yeah, exactly. So, and it's kind of funny. Some of those alternative bands will only turn out to be one-hit wonders, while bands like Warrant are still performing. even though it's at very small venues and there's a couple lineup changes there, a couple of deaths. I know Janie Lane, their frontman, he passed away in 2011, and then so they got some other guys singing in his spot there, but they're still performing. They're still doing shows now and then here, but they also had day jobs to keep themselves going during the time that they're not touring there because
Yeah,
they're not.
and speaking of passing away, let's not forget Dusty Hill.
Yeah, so I think you brought that up. We was going to start the show with that. As we mentioned in the video last night, or my video, Dusty Hill, the bassist and co-vocalist for ZZ Top, passed away yesterday at the age of 72. He sang on tracks like Manic Mechanic, the classic Tush. He co-shared vocals with Billy Gibbons on "It's Only Love" and the immortal Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers there.
Yeah.
Um, and definitely check out those albums that are still out if you're still able to find them. Most of them may be uploaded on YouTube, and we're not talking albums like Eliminator, Afterburner, or the stuff they did in the '80s. There, we're talking about stuff like DeGuendo,
Rio
what's that?
Grande Mud.
Rio Grande Mud, yes. And what was that one that was called Texas with the J instead of an X?
Yeah, Tejas.
Tejas. There we go. There. I guess that was the original name for the state of Texas, if I take it there.
I think that's correct.
All right, because remember, I'm a Michigan native prior to moving here. So sometimes I need to be re-upped on some information regarding names and titles there. All right, so our list is continue on. Shall we continue?
The next one's a group called Sea Level.
Yeah, so remember you sent me one of their clips. I remember seeing them on what was a PBS program called Soundstage back in the around 79, 78.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the interesting thing about this group is they comprise largely of Allman Brothers alumni.
So they were members of the Allman Brothers group that was since departed decided to put together their own band, I guess.
Yeah, I think they did it during one of the times when Allman Brothers were on hiatus.
Ah,
And they
I see.
said, we want to keep making music, but we'll do it this way.
All right, so this was basically a side project for them.
For the most part, it was. I think they only had 2 albums.
All right, there. Yeah. And you sent me one of their clips there, and I think you have a couple. Do you have a list of them by chance, or no?
No.
Okay, so but they do deserve. Wasn't there? Didn't they have one of the members of Paul McCartney's Wings at the helm? I think one of their old drummers. I think it was. I remember hearing that.
Wouldn't hurt looking them up and seeing.
Yeah, because I remember hearing, if I was mistaken, that Joe English, I think the guy's name, he used to drum with Paul McCartney and Wings in the 70s there. He may have had playing drums with this group for a while now.
Could be.
Maybe, who knows? So I'll have to wait and see. Have to look him up sometime there when I get the chance here. But
shout
knowing
out
how
to Ronald Booth.
yeah, he's there. I see him on the chat there. What up, dude? I'm also I also extended an invitation to a dude named Joshua Hampton, I should say there. Dang gummit. Sorry, I extended him to either call in. He might call in later on this show or Real Swag TV, which will be at 7 p.m. following this program here. So
Okay.
hopefully he'll probably show up and get a hold of us pretty soon there. See if he has anything to ask or want to talk about there.
And the next one I got is a group called Sea Train.
Sea Train. I don't think I've heard of that band actually there. This is a new one for me.
Well, you got a clip of them doing a song called 13 Questions.
I think so. Yeah, so many. Mark has been sending me all these clips here. It's hard to keep track here, but they're really interesting. Excuse me. I'm fumbling on my words again. They are pretty interesting clips of songs that Ark has sent me. No doubt about that.
And then after them, I got Sean Phillips, who, at a glance, you would think folk singer, but this guy pretty much did everything. Rock, folk, And he did some long stuff too.
Yeah, it was kind of like a Mike Oldfield, if but with vocals, I guess you would say there.
Uh,
No,
Kind of, I suppose, but not really, because he didn't do anything 26 minutes long.
that's true there. Yeah, because Mike Oldfield and a prog rock artist like that have been known to do songs that length of time there.
Yep, yep,
The first impression I got from him was what you know those little sleeves in the single albums where it was no gatefold. You would have the little sleeve in there where the vinyl goes in. It would have all this advertising, all these latest releases from A&M Records there,
right.
and one of them was Sean Phillips, and he was playing this 12-string guitar, which looked pretty cool there. I remember I kind of like had one, but I removed the extra strings so it'll sound a little bit better there. Try to tune a 12-string guitar. I'm going to need lessons on that, on how to
Oh, I
tune the
had one of
others.
those, and man, it's almost an all-day affair to do that.
Oh yeah, so that's why I kept it 6 strings, and that's about it there. So I kind of got the impression at first from this album cover that this guy was kind of like a folk singer until Ark here corrected me on that not too long ago.
He does stuff that sounds folky, but by and large, his stuff is more in the vein of, uh, well, semi-prog without being prog.
Yeah, something like that, I guess you could say there. Prog without the prog.
Yeah. And the next three or four I have on the list, we've actually gone over, but I'll just mention them in passing.
Yep.
Seals and Croft,
Oh yeah, definitely there.
Sheena Easton.
Yeah, 'cause, it's got. I wonder how she doing now. By the way.
Don't know.
Yeah, because the last time we heard of her was somewhere around the when was it? In the 1990s. I mean, the last big hit she had was a track produced by L.A. and Babyface called "The Lover in Me,"
Yeah,
and she she had that one hit song with Prince called "You Got the Look" in '87. She starred in Miami Vice as Sonny Crockett's second wife there.
and she
Some
actually
Caitlin.
had a pretty big string of hits early.
Yeah, exactly. Morning Train, Modern Girl, and we cannot forget For Your Eyes Only for the
Right.
James Bond flick of the same name. And I think she actually appears in the movie, kind of lip syncing the title song while the opening credits are rolling. Which is a first at that time because no other James Bond film has ever done that.
True. And then we got Slade, which most of us
Oh
should
my
be familiar.
goodness, yeah, from the British glam rock scene from the early '70s,
Yeah,
along with Roy Wood's Wizard,
right.
the the Sweet, with along with bands like I know so many glam rock, and we cannot forget Susie Quattro, a Detroit native
Yep,
who made it big in England. She got to be mentioned just as well.
sure.
Mm. Of course, we know her from her also as a role as Leather Tuscadero in the Happy Days series. Well, I
Right.
guess she was related to Arthur Fonzie, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, now Slade, as we all know, they had great songs like "Stomp Your Hands and Clap Your Feet."
Mama,
Yeah,
we're all crazy now.
yep, and of course the essential "Come On, Feel the Noise," which both those songs got covered by Quiet Riot. The
Right.
latter became a humongous hit for Quiet Riot, and that helped Slade to get a couple deals here in the States. They
Yep.
eventually signed with a CBS record and released their album, which I had, a great album called Keep Your Hands Off My Power Supply. Pretty excellent album if you want to check something out there. He had a movie called Slade in Flame. I had that record. Nobody's Fool. I had that record there. And of course, we cannot forget. Oh, let's not forget the song "Goodbye to James," which the glam band Britney Fox covered on their first record there.
Right.
Yeah. So it feels to say that some of the '70s glam rock scene from over to the UK. Oh yeah, we also got to include David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust identity included just as well there. They kind of like helped pave the way for some of the freaky disco Studio 54 club kids scene there, as well as the some of the glam metal scene throughout the 1980s there.
Yep. Uh, then we got Sly and the Family Stone, which we also covered.
Yeah, we know. And what was the issue with Sly Stone himself? Was he was going through a lot of issues here? I guess it was tax stuff here, drug stuff here. What is going on?
I'm not real sure what's going on with him now.
Yeah, no, it's like he when I ever heard about him, he was getting this trouble, that amount of trouble here. It's like it was the same with the late DMX. The few times we have heard from him in the early later 2000s, he was getting busted with this, he was getting busted for drug possession, this and that there, and that's a different story, unfortunately, Albert. But it would be nice for the Sly Stone to come back. I know
Yep.
he could have
Yep.
had that, but that the problem is, how would the people of today who are into acts like Trippy Red, little Yacht, or all these little rappers, the teeny bop rappers out there with their peculiar oddball names, how would they react to a veteran like Sly Stone? And how would their fans react just as well?
True. Next one I have, actually, I'm going to go ahead and mention them, but they kind of sort of fit more in the 80s as kind of an early one of the alternative things, but
Yeah.
they're different. They're not exactly like that. And that's a group called Sparks.
Yeah, that's a group, one of the bands you sent me there. Now we know this group. They had an album called Sparks in Outer Space, which the short-haired guy, Ron and what's this? Which was
It's
Ron
Ron and
and
Russell
Russ
Mail,
Male, and
and
Ron was the one with the mustache, right?
I believe so. And when
Yeah,
they
he was.
played, his thing was to play and look disinterested and just kind of look around. He never
hmm
really reacted or moved or anything.
That was his gimmick, and the guy's
That was the
mustache kind
gimmick.
of was. Yeah, it was. And the guy's mustache kind of resembled that of the Adolf Hitler. So I can imagine when he had that going on when he first started off, people are kind of questioning that.
Yeah. And his brother, the singer,
Yeah.
uh, was animated. I mean, the song I sent you is one called "This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us."
Yes.
And like I say, when you sit and listen to it, it's like, whoa, this song sounds more like rock than it does alternative.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. In fact, we also cannot forget that song they did with Jane Whelan of the Go-Go's. I think it was
Right.
"Cool Places." Yeah. And they also there's a subject now of a documentary that's out right now.
I've heard that. It kind
Yeah.
of goes over their history.
I think yes,
And
it's kind of. I guess it's. I don't know which channel it's on. Maybe on Hulu or I know it's not on Netflix, but you have to look it up. Sparks documentary on the Google search there.
and if I'm not mistaken, the Paul McCartney video for
Coming up, yes, he's. I guess it's either him or Linda dressed up as the keyboard
because he
player, Ron
looks
Mayo.
just like Ron Mayo.
Exactly there.
The
In fact,
mannerisms and everything.
exactly. I remember that, man. And that was back in 1980 when that song came out
Yep.
there. All right.
Next one I got a Spiral Staircase.
Yeah.
What was the song? Oh, come on. I
hmm
gotta tell my brain to start working again.
I am. I gotta stop doing that again. That stuff. It's taking over me, man.
It's a good song. I just cannot, off the top of my head,
All
remember
right.
the name of it. Let me see if I can
Hmm.
find it real quick.
All right. In the meantime, shout out to Fest Love and Almighty One in my chat here. Hope you guys are doing pretty well there.
Maybe they know who Spiral Staircase did.
It'll be a while there, folks. There.
It won't be a long time. I just gotta go through my. Well, let's say it won't be a long time.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody that right after this program here, which will have to end probably a couple of minutes early before 6 p.m. Central, I'm going to be live with the Real Swag TV on both my channel and the Minnesota Vikings fan Real Swag TV channel there. And I want to remind everybody about that. And we got a couple of interesting subjects to talk about. One particular that was brought to my attention actually was we addressed it, me and Bolsey did this past Monday evening.
More today than yesterday.
That's the name of the track there.
It was, again, a 100 wonder.
Yeah. A lot of, I guess you could say a lot of one-hit wonders are on this continuation of the list. I guess you could say there.
Well, there's so many of them.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next one I got is an interesting one because Jerry Rafferty is a part of this group.
Oh yeah, Steelers Wheel.
Yes.
We know that one song, Stuck in the Middle with You. That's the one that constantly gets played no matter what.
And they had another song that was a semi-hit called Star that was actually a pretty good song.
Yeah.
You got a copy of it?
Yes, you sent me that clip there. I think you did, yes.
But
and rest in peace to Jerry Rafferty. I guess he died in, what was it, the year was 2010, or I think it was?
I believe so.
Or early. I believe so, yeah. He came, like I said, it was, I remember him for songs like the album City to City. I remember hearing that at school one time there.
Yeah, almost all that album is really good.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, we all know Baker Street.
Oh, yeah, like the back of our hands. Classic song one there. And of course, we cannot forget another song he did called Get It Right the next time there,
Yeah.
which came out a year after that album came out.
And there was right down the line on that album, High and Dry.
Yep, absolutely. Stealing Time, Whatever's Written in Your Heart.
Good
Maggie's Rag, I think it was called.
That sounds right. I don't know that for sure, but it does sound right.
All right. Definitely look it up there. It came out in 1978 there on the United Artists record label, the label that Electric Light Orchestra and Kenny Rogers were originally on.
Okay, next one I got in there is another one-hit wonder. And they had a Chicago-type sound.
Yeah.
The name was Steel Breeze.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm glad you sent me that because that brought back a lot of memories because that song was a big hit on the radio around that period. It was around 82, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he got their title from the course, from the one of the lyrics in the course, "Shine on You Crazy Diamond," "Rode on the Steel Breeze," and of course, they decided to take that title, and of course, had that one hit song back of that year. And I don't know if they continued on afterwards or broke up. I don't really remember. I'm trying to remember the video as well. I should probably look it up sometime later on this evening there.
It's one of the ones I sent to you.
Yes, I remember. I think it was just the audio version. I think it was.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you sent
probably
me.
so.
Yeah.
Next one in the list is Stephen Stills, but I think we went over his stuff.
I think, yeah. We all know the song "Love the One You're With," which I'll mention again. Luther Vandross, rest in peace to him, did an excellent cover of that song. Excellent. If you ever heard that version, Ark, definitely check it out. He made it his own.
And that's what you're supposed to do when you cover a song.
Yeah, he did that with the Carpenters. He did it with Dionne Warwick. He did a lot of other songs just as well.
And then the next one I got is Steve Perry, who
The singer.
used to be in Journey.
Yeah, that's right. Remember, we all know the song that he sent me, "Oh Sherry," big hit in 1984. And funny thing, that record that came from Street Talk was meant not to sound like a Journey album.
Right.
I guess it was produced by Steve Perry himself. And he later took that same kind of sound that he had for that record, and he would later apply it to the Journey album, Raised on Radio. And it was probably that record was the only album they ever did at that time not to have any videos for it.
Right.
They rely on one live music video performed live of the song "She Can't Help It."
Yeah. It was an unusual album for Journey.
Yeah, it was because there was a lot of the songs on that album were pretty personal,
Yep.
very personal.
Yeah.
But back to Steve Perry, it's sad that he's no longer singing with Journey. I guess what the problem was, he had some issues with his hips. He had to have surgery. Journey had to tour because he had that album Trial by Fire in '86, and decided to get another singer and go on without him. And I guess that pissed off Steve Perry a lot there.
Yeah, but you can't blame the band. I mean, that was
That
something.
is true. That is true. I mean, you got a schedule to keep. You got somebody. You got time is not to be wasted when you're in a band or in business or such. Because when you're scheduled to do something, you're already got to be ready to do it. Now we don't know if it was intended or it was accidentally, but maybe people say, "Well, Steve should have been careful when that incident happened there," and we don't know what it was, but apparently, some things can happen out of the blue. One
Right.
needs time to recover from there. I mean, sure, people want to see the mighty Steve Perry on the crutches or the wheelchair, back then.
Yeah, but that would have taken a real toll on him to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could probably ask Axl Rose when he broke his leg. Some of the shows he did with AC/DC and Guns N' Roses in 2015 and 2016. Well, he could probably tell you how an aggravation it was,
Yeah.
including Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. Remember, he had to perform with he broke his leg. He had to perform on stage, but still was able to do so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
the way it was set up was, you remember, it was set up like the Game of Thrones throne there, and it was instead of those swords, it was guitar necks.
yeah. Next artist I have, I can't tell you any of the songs, but he's definitely worth mentioning. He had several solo albums. Steve
Yep.
Walsh.
Oh yeah, the front man of Kansas.
Yeah,
He,
because
you
he
know,
was
he
with
also had
them, left him, and then came back.
Yeah, he came back in the early '80s. He came back in the '80s there when he signed with MCA and brought in Steve Morse to do the lead guitar along with Richie Williams there. And Steve Walsh also had another band called Streets
Hmm.
that they released this one record called it was called First, and it was If Love Should Go was the name of the song that was played on the radio there around that time. They released another album called Crimes in Mind. I guess it was in '84, I believe it was, or '85. I remember seeing the cassette there a few times, but I don't know. Someone told me not to buy it for some reason. I thought that I wouldn't be really interested. I mean, Love Should Go was a good song, but it only lasted only for about a few good months. And while Kansas, however, did pretty much well without him, they had an album called Vinyl Confessions and, of course, Drastic Measures. Those two records were recorded with a guy named John Elefanti.
Yeah.
Played a game tonight from from Vinyl Confessions. Big hit on the radio there. Fight Fire with Fire from the follow-up record, another big hit, along with a song called Everybody's My Friend. And the story about that one is that when Vinyl Confessions became a big hit, the singer discovered he had all these new friends here.
Yeah. That's the
That
way it kind
usually
of
happens.
works.
That's what happens when you make it big in either movies or music or whichever, or in business. You find out you have all these people try to be your friend when they're really not. They're just kind of trying to get caught for
Hanger-ons.
themselves. Yeah, exactly. Hanger-ons. And the
Next.
thing is, those kind of people are usually there for you till the next big individual or group comes along, and next you'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna latch on to this person because you're Al Pace."
Yeah.
We have seen that happen a few times before there.
Okay, the next guy you probably heard of. He sang with a group called Spencer Davis. He sang
Uh,
with a group called Traffic. He
yep,
sang with Blind Faith.
yep, Steve Winwood.
Yep. He
Yep,
had several solo albums that were pretty decent.
yeah, pretty much. But the first time I heard of him was the song "If You See a Chance" from 1980,
Yeah.
and then a couple years later he had that song called "Valerie," which
Yeah.
became a big hit again later on in '87 with a different with the remade video there. Because I remember seeing the original video for that track. It was kind of him standing in the background, lip syncing to the lyrics and moving a little bit, while the image in slow motion would show this blonde-haired girl with a kind of like, is looking on while her hair is blowing away. Must have had a fan on her, no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, they when it became a song, when it became a hit song again, it would later redo the video there to make it more in time with what's going on there at that moment. Remember, this was around '87, and the track came out in 1982.
Yeah.
And it would be a couple years before Back in the High Life would come out in '86, and that would become a tremendous hit.
Yeah,
In fact,
he's.
Shaka Khan sings back up on Higher Love. Joe Walsh contributes guitar on one track, I think it was. I forgot the title of that one. But that record was humongously big. Oh, we cannot forget James Taylor singing back up on the title cut there.
Yeah. And counting his work with the other three bands
Yep.
and Go, he
Yep.
was in a group called Go. That guy
Yeah.
had a phenomenal string of songs.
It's kind of funny, I'm just now thinking about 1983 when him and the late Jim Capaldi brought back Traffic, but it was just those two.
Yeah, didn't have Mason or Wood.
Chris Wood there. I guess
Yeah.
Chris Wood passed away, and Mason at that time was involved with Fleetwood Mac, with that particular lineup of Fleetwood Mac, which came and went.
Yeah. One album. Bye.
Yep, and one to back up, one opening slot for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. That was it.
Yeah. And next one I got is one album group, the Stills Young Band.
And that was one. And that was one. That was a project, I guess, featured Steven Stills, correct?
Right, and Neil Young.
Oh wow, that's interesting there because I didn't think those two. Well, when you look at it, Neil Young and the CSNN always were at odds and ends, evenness and ends with those guys there. When you look at it there,
Well, it's mostly Young said, yeah, I want to play. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. I want to do solo. Well, no, I don't. And Young was kind of that way, but he was he's a good friend to Stephen Stills, and it's kind of unfortunate because I don't think we're ever going to see Crosby, Stills, and Nash again because both Stills and Nash absolutely despise David Crosby.
wow, because but was it because of all the drug? Yeah, what is up with that? What's going on with that? Is it because of all the drug issues
Well,
that they were
basically,
dealing
the
with in the
word
past?
is that David Crosby can be a jackass, and the funny thing about it is he'll tell you, I'm a jackass.
Yeah, I see there. But the thing is, when you're in a band, you can't really allow yourself to be a jackass.
Yeah, basically, I think he insulted Nash's wife and Stills, whoever he was with,
Wow,
too. I mean, he
wow,
insulted him.
wow. He even insulted a kind of Eddie Van Halen after Van
Yeah.
Halen's passing. For those who don't know what happened, I saw this whole thing on Twitter when he was asked about the about the passing of Eddie Van Halen. He was like, eh. And a lot of people were upset at that. One of the guitar players from Testament, kind of like the stand was against that, and he had to tweet out a couple of things about that. Even Patti Smith, the punk poetess from, I guess, the New York City, she even acknowledge 80s playing, even though she wasn't a big fan.
Right. And that's the
He
whole
took a
deal.
lot. Yeah, exactly. You got to acknowledge. I mean, even though you may not be a fan of this particular person or this group's music, there, you should at least give them credit. When
Right.
that person passes away. But like for instance, like the group Skinny Puppy, the industrial icons. They when MCA Adam Yauch of the Beastie Boys, the New York's finest rap group out there, passed away in 2012. They acknowledged his death, even though they may have been in separate genres.
Right.
But it was kind of them to acknowledge his passing there.
Yeah. Next one I got is, I guess they're a one-hit wonder, is a group called Stillwater.
Ah, Still Water. It's kind of funny because I remember the movie Almost Famous, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking the band in that movie there was called Stillwater. Now I don't know if it was based on that particular Stillwater band there. I don't know, but still,
Their big song, and I mean it was a pretty big song, was something called Mindbender, which
yeah,
I actually sent you a clip of that.
yes, I have listened to it there.
Yeah, the thing that made that song interesting was the guitarist used Peter Frampton's little voice box thingy
Oh yeah, yeah,
and made the guitar talk,
yeah.
which was
That
the
was a big thing.
purpose of
That
the
was a big
song.
thing. That was a big. That was a big thing back then for guitar players to do it. That was like one of the big devices that every band had to have. Whether it's Peter Frampton, Aerosmith for that song "Sweet Emotion." I remember a band called the Oriental Spas, who
Yeah.
were out of North by Michigan. They did use the talk box on a couple of their songs where they played live.
Now I heard, and I don't know how true it is, that that was invented by Peter Frampton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting there.
I mean that's what I always heard.
Well, and for those to people today, that was the auto tune of back then.
Yeah, except it didn't really work the same way as an auto tune.
Exactly. It was a lot more. It was a lot more interesting back then.
Yeah, because you actually could make your guitar sound like it's talking.
Yeah, it's right there. Exactly. Whereas auto tune, you sound like a damn robot. Now, I would love to hear how the guitar would sound through an auto tune.
I don't know.
Oh, dude, there are times I wish I can get me one of those voice changers that Ken and Minnesota Super Roll Hunter have, and see if I can play guitar through any of those things there. It would see how would it sound there, what I could come up with.
Well, it'd be interesting because when we get to King Crimson, we'll discuss that.
Oh
Adrian
yeah,
Belew used a synthesizer and a computer and made his guitar do
yes,
anything.
lot of awesome things there. Absolutely, man. He did. He was that was. It's meant to say that Adrian Belew gave Robert Fripp the competition Fripp kind of needed.
Yeah,
A friendly competition, a friendly competition where they try to outdo each other and one complements the other.
right.
And it
Wasn't
would
like
be,
a I'm
and
better than you sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. Unlike where Styx would have Tommy Shaw and Dennis Young try to outdo one another there.
Right.
And what up, Minnesota Vikings fan? He's in my chat as well. I didn't notice it until now there.
Next one I got is Survivor,
Oh yeah, we
and they
know
did a
this
pretty
group.
famous song that you're aware of.
Yeah, we all know. Yep, I Had a Tiger theme from Rocky 3 with Mr. T
Right.
and Hulk Hogan. That song became Hulk Hogan's first theme music there of course, until Rick Derringer did Real American for the wrestling album. That would later become his theme song since that. And of course,
Yeah.
when he had joined the NWO and WCW in 1986 and 1996 and 97, there he would later have Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix as his theme music there.
Yeah.
And I guess what I understand from Eric Bischoff, the guy who was running WCW at that time, he had to pay a lot of money for about a couple of seconds of Voodoo Child, and they would kick in with the NWO theme music there. But I guess Vince McMahon later on decided to, I guess they decided to, I don't know what the deal was. I think the Hendrix estate decided they like let's have him use the whole song as his entrance music because there were a couple of times they would play that song and Hogan would come out and the song be going all the way through up till
Yeah,
he gets in the ring to either wrestle or cut a promo or such. And not famous in my chat here is asking me, did we ever see the Woodstock '99 documentary? I heard about that. I haven't seen it yet, but you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the things I would love to check it out.
yeah.
And Bam, in my chat says 100K a year. I guess that's how much you had to pay for the theme music that Hulk Hogan used. I guess
Wow.
if that's so, it's a holy cow, mofo.
Yeah, man. Next one I got Sutherland Brothers and Quill.
Mm,
No, Quiver. Sorry.
Whippers, okay there.
Uh, they had a song. Well, they didn't really have what you'd call a hit song, but they
Yeah,
had a song that was played called "Arms of Mary."
I see.
It's kind of like, it's okay.
All right, okay. See where you're coming from there.
Next one I got is a guy. Well, Mark Boland's group.
Oh my God, T-Rex.
Yep. The
Oh
other
yeah,
first album, they actually named it Tyrannosaurus Rex, and
yeah,
then
and he
shortened
had
it T-Rex.
Yep, exactly. So when we think of T-Rex, we're not thinking of the dinosaur. We're thinking of the band. And we also know the song that made them famous, Bang a Gong, Get It On, which the power station featuring members of Duran Duran would make a big hit again in '85 there. And it's kind of fun, interesting. I was I was involved with this lady here. Her name was Lena back in Michigan around '91. But yet she had an obsession over Mark Bolan. She was she was uh, she was like obsessed with the guy. She had all the records, all the albums, all the She watched a lot. She had a lot of bootleg footages to watch here. She was like obsessed with the guy,
Wow. And of course,
even though
he's
the
gone
guy
now.
yeah, he died in a car wreck with his wife, Martha Jones. I guess what I understand, a deer appeared out on the road and she swerved to avoid hitting it. And I guess, boom, they had wrecked the car. He died of a broken neck. And I guess she was in a state of shock when the authorities found her later on. Of course, we understand why. If your husband or wife was killed in a car wreck and you was behind the wheel, you would be in a fucking state of shock just as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and also ridden with 120% guilt.
And the Electric Warrior album, which was easily their best, also
Yep,
had on it Mambo Sun,
yep.
Jeepster.
Oh yeah, we know that song pretty much well. I know that was played a couple times at the Lambert in downtown Detroit there.
The Motivator, Life's a Gas.
Yep.
I
We
mean,
cannot.
that album's loaded.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. That's the one record that Warner's still holds on to. All the other rests that they put out, like Tanks or A Beard of Stars, that would later be reissued under a different. One of them would be Castle Communications, straight out of the UK there. But you know how record companies are. They hold on to the big money makers, and that the
Yeah.
big money maker was, of course, Electric Warrior.
And if you ever want to sample T-Rex, that album.
Absolutely. Or you could look on other albums like Dandy and the Underworld or Tanks or other stuff there.
Yeah.
Because that girl I mentioned, her name was Lena. She had lots of that stuff. And we also cannot forget the song Children of the Revolution.
Yep. Okay, next one I got is the
Yep.
Tarney Spencer Band.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing of that name until you. In fact, you showed me a couple of their clips there. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that big song for them was No Time to Lose.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, so what year did that song that came out? I guess it was in the 70's, I think it was.
Late 70s, I believe.
Ah, yeah. That's when a lot of those groups were coming out around that period, along with the Sanford Townsend Band, Seals and Crofts, and of course, other bands like, let's see. Oh, yeah, Al Stewart was included on them
Yeah.
as well.
And the next one I got, uh, he had a song that a lot of people call one of the worst cheesy songs ever. Is a guy by the name of Terry Jacks.
Oh, Terry Jacks. I know what you're talking about. Let me guess. Seasons in the Sun.
Yep,
Oh my gosh.
that is
I
an
remember hearing
incredibly
that one.
cheesy song.
I remember hearing it a few times there. And I guess the song, but the song, the subject of the song was not cheesy at all, from what I
Oh no,
understood.
for what it was is he was found out he was going to die and he was telling everybody goodbye.
Oh wow, interesting. Wow. He put kind of like a fatal disease or something, or like he had a condition.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
wow.
what we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Season in the Sun. Yep. And not and yet that song will later become considered one of the most cheesy rock classics out there.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad song. It's just
No,
that a lot of people are kind of like, okay,
sounds so cheesy, obviously,
yeah,
even though the subject itself is vice versa.
yeah, far from cheesy. Yeah, I'm trying to debate here whether we want to move on
Yeah,
because
because
the
it's
rest
about
of my list isn't that long, and I
yeah
want to hold off so we have a complete show next Monday. I
next
assume
Monday.
Monday.
Yes, because I got to get ready. We're gonna have to end the show here because Real Spuck TV is going to be starting up pretty soon. I'm going to shut this street down to start a new one up here. You know, and that's I guess we'll have to end the show as it is right now. There, I want
Yeah,
to thank everybody for yep, and thank definitely continue. You know what? I should send you some stuff sometime pretty soon.
wouldn't hurt a
It
thing.
may
I'd
be
love
I
to
don't
go
know.
through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the stuff I may show you sometime, maybe a little bit more abstract than the stuff you sent me, but definitely I should probably
Well,
find
I'm
them and
fine with
definitely
that.
show them to you. Yes, I'll definitely do so there. All right, there. We'll end the show as it is. I got to get up, get ready for Real Spuck TV. Sorry for my fumbling words, folks. There, folks. It's something that happens with me a lot. I keep saying we're going to do something about it, but I never do. So, for Arknolia and myself, yeah, guys, have a good Thursday, Wednesday. Bleh, there I go again.
Whatever
Thursday
today is.
evening. Yeah, it's Thursday, folks. And also, let's go on. I'm going to set up for Real as Fuck TV, and no, we'll guys see you later. We'll be back on Monday. Okay.
All right. Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye. Bye. Give it a few minutes here because